Hey everyone, and welcome to another deep dive. Today we're tackling something super important, getting you guys ready to ace those learning support teacher interviews.
It's such a rewarding role.
It is, and we're going to dig into RoleCatcher's resources to,
Uh-huh.
equip you with the best questions and insights to really, impress those hiring managers.
Yeah, it's one thing to know the material, but being able to articulate that clearly and showcase your passion, that's what makes the difference in an interview.
Totally. So we're going to start with RoleCatcher's career guide, right? It's like our trusty roadmap.
Yeah.
And they emphasize, helping students with those fundamental skills, reading, writing, math. But the way they frame it is so important. It's about making a difference. It's about empowering students.
It's about, understanding that every student learns differently,
Exactly.
and it's about meeting them where they are and, giving them the tools to succeed. And that's like a really powerful message to convey in an interview.
Absolutely. Okay, so let's dive into some of those make or break interview questions.
Right? Let's do it.
RoleCatcher's interview guides, they're like gold mines. And the first question they highlight is, can you tell us about your experience working with students with special needs? So it seems pretty straightforward, but RoleCatcher has this insights section where they explain the why behind the question.
Because it's not enough to just say, yeah, I've worked with students.
Right.
They want to see your thought process. So
Exactly.
we want to understand how you approach these situations.
It's all about showing, not telling.
Right.
Right. Instead of just saying, I've worked with students, you want to paint a picture. Give a specific example.
100%. And be ready for follow-up questions. They might ask, can you share a particularly challenging situation and how you adapted?
Oh, yeah.
Because, in this role, you're going to face challenges, and they want to see that you can handle those with, grace and problem-solving skills.
Absolutely. Okay, question number 2 from RoleCatcher. How do you differentiate instruction to meet the needs of diverse learners? This feels massive.
Oh, it's huge. And this is where your passion for education really shines.
Right.
Talk about your, understanding of different learning styles, visual learners, auditory learners,
Right.
kinesthetic learners, all of that.
It's this is the heart of being a learning support teacher, right?
Yep.
It's understanding that there's no one size fits all.
Exactly.
And RoleCatcher, it even helps you craft the perfect answer here with their AI, right?
Yes.
You can actually type in your draft answer and it gives you feedback.
It's amazing.
So cool.
It's like having a personal coach in your pocket.
I love that. Okay, question number 3. This one's all about teamwork. Can you describe a time when you collaborated with other teachers to support a student's learning?
Collaboration is key. And again, RoleCatcher emphasizes that in their career guide. They talk about how learning support teachers often work in tandem with, classroom teachers, special education professionals.
It's a team effort.
Exactly. So you want to be prepared to share a specific example of a time when you successfully collaborated with others to help a student thrive.
Yeah. Don't just say, oh, yeah, I'm a team player. Give them a story. Give them the details.
Exactly. Show, don't tell. Paint that picture for them. Yeah.
Okay. Question number 4. This one's interesting. It's how do you build positive relationships with students and families? So it's not just about the academics here, right?
No, it's about the whole child, right?
Yeah.
It's about understanding that their learning doesn't happen in isolation.
Right.
It's impacted by their home life, by their relationships, by their, emotional well-being.
So it's not enough to just say, oh, I'm a people person.
Right.
You've got to actually, again, give them a specific example.
Exactly. Tell them about a time when you went above and beyond to make a student feel seen and heard. Or how you've successfully involved parents in the learning process.
Yeah, because that communication can be so important.
Cool.
Okay, question number 5, data. How do you use data to inform your instruction and support student learning? This is huge right now, data-driven instruction.
Oh, it's essential. And it's not just about collecting data for the sake of it.
Right.
It's about knowing how to use it effectively to support student growth.
So this is where you get to geek out a little bit, right?
Yes.
If you're into, analyzing those assessments, looking for those trends, this is where you shine.
Exactly. Talk about how you identify learning gaps, how you track progress, how you adjust your teaching based on the data.
Right, because it's all about that constant reflection and improvement.
Yes.
Okay, this next question I feel is really at the heart of being a learning support teacher, right? How do you support students who are struggling academically or behaviorally?
This is where you really get to showcase your toolkit, right?
Yeah,
All those different strategies that you have.
because every student's different.
Exactly. So, talk about your experience with different intervention methods, how you create individualized learning plans, how you collaborate with, the school psychologist, the counselor, the parents to really provide that wraparound support.
It's like being a detective sometimes, right?
Yes.
Trying to figure out like what's going on and how to best support that student.
100%.
Okay, question number 7. This one's all about staying fresh, staying current. How do you stay current with best practices in education and support student learning?
Lifelong learning. You gotta love it, right?
Because the education world is constantly evolving.
It is. New research, new technologies, new approaches. You always want to be like growing and adapting.
So don't just like name drop a bunch of, professional development courses or whatever.
Right.
Really talk about how those experiences have impacted your teaching.
Exactly. Share a specific example. Like, hey, I went to this amazing workshop on, trauma-informed teaching, and it completely changed how I approach classroom management.
Yes. Give them those specifics. Okay, we're in the home stretch with these questions, but this next one, it's kind of a tricky one. Can you describe a time when you had to advocate for a student's needs? So this feels like it could be like a little bit of a tightrope walk, right?
It can be. Because you want to show that you are willing to fight for your students, right? That you're their champion.
Yeah.
But you also want to be mindful of, not overstepping boundaries or, speaking negatively about colleagues.
Right. It's all about that, like diplomacy.
Yes.
Like you can advocate for a student without like throwing other people under the bus.
Exactly. So choose an example where, you identified a genuine need. Maybe a student wasn't receiving the proper accommodations or they needed some additional support.
And then walk them through your process, right?
Yeah.
Like who did you talk to? What steps did you take?
And what was the outcome?
Yeah, exactly. Okay, final question. It's a big one. How do you ensure that your instruction is culturally responsive and inclusive? This feels more important than ever, don't you think?
Oh, absolutely. Our classrooms are beautifully diverse, and we need to make sure that every student feels seen, valued, and represented.
And it's not just about like celebrating those like multicultural holidays.
Right. Yeah.
It's about like weaving that inclusivity into the fabric of your teaching.
Yes. So talk about the books you choose, the activities you plan, the way you foster open dialogue in your classroom.
Do you have strategies for addressing bias or prejudice?
Exactly.
It's about creating that space where everyone feels safe to be themselves and to learn from each other.
100%.
Okay. Wow, we covered like a ton today. We dove into what it means to be a learning support teacher. We unpacked those like really important interview questions from RoleCatcher.
Those are really good questions.
They are. And we even touched on how their AI can, give you that extra boost.
It's like having a secret weapon for your interview prep.
I like that. A
Yeah.
secret weapon. I like that.
Yeah.
And don't forget, guys, those career guides, they're not just for like understanding the job, right?
Yeah.
They lay out those potential career paths so you can go into an interview with like a vision.
Absolutely. It shows your thinking long term.
Exactly.
Maybe you start as a classroom teacher, but then you become a specialist in like reading intervention or assistive technology.
Or you could even move into like curriculum development.
Exactly.
The possibilities are like endless.
It's really about finding your niche. What are you passionate about? What gets you fired up?
Because that passion, that's what shines through in an interview.
100%. When you love what you do, it shows.
So to all our aspiring learning support teachers out there, go out there and like just crush those interviews.
You got this.
Remember, you have the power to make a real difference in the lives of your students.
Such an important role.
It is. And don't forget to check out RoleCatcher for yourselves. It's an amazing resource. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep diving deep.